Katie, thank you so much for inviting our office. We do, like you said, we are now, I present statewide. I travel, I've been traveling, for quite some time as the outreach supervisor now. I've been with the Attorney General's office for over 12 years. And this is definitely a new thing for us, doing presentations virtually. I'm so glad that you guys have an audience and you have a kind of, you're set up already on how to do this, and we must adapt, right? And so we definitely want to be able to take this information, continue taking this information out to Washington consumers, and especially during a pandemic. We definitely want to make sure that everyone is keeping safe. We're adhering to state regulations, but we also are able to bring you that information to the comfort of your home. So without further ado, I'll continue with our presentation today, and it is about keeping yourself financially healthy in a pandemic. We talk a lot about our physical health. We're talking a lot about our mental health in a pandemic, but sometimes, what falls by the wayside and people don't focus on it a lot is our financial health. And it also is taking a hit during the pandemic, just like everything else is. So today, what I'm going to talk about or give you some information on, you're going to get an overview of the Attorney General's office very briefly. I'll go through it as quickly as possible. And then I'll also give you a consumer protection overview, what we do, the division that I work for. I'll talk about pandemic scams and scams that we see year round. And then I'll, of course, give you the clues as to what those scams are. I'll talk about identity theft and that prevention. And then at the very end, I'll give you some resources, which you're more than welcome to take a snapshot of those. But I do have my coordinator, Montserrat Jauregui, who works with me in our outreach services unit, and she can provide anybody, like let's say you have some questions today that I may not be able to answer for whatever reason. She can reach out to the coordinator on your end, or email you some additional information, some resources if she already has not done that. So we'll have resources, and then we can get you more if needed. So the Office of the Attorney General is to provide, our goal is to provide excellent legal services to the state of Washington, protect the rights of its people. Just like if you were in a legal scuffle, so to speak, and you needed legal representation, you would look for an attorney. Well, that is who we are for the state of Washington. We are the Washington's attorney, our legal representative. We do not provide legal representation to consumers individually. We can't give you any legal advice, but we do give legal advice, for example, to the state, to government entities, other agencies that we represent. A lot of people come to us. I've had people say in my outreach, I have a case against LNI. I need an attorney. Can you guys help us? Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that we are actually attorneys for LNI. So again, we do provide your government agencies that legal representation that is needed if there is some sort of legal procedure or legal action that needs to take place. And a lot of people don't know that. In consumer protection, it's our job to make sure that the marketplace is free from deceptive practices, free from fraud, free from scammers in general, making sure that that marketplace is, a secure place for Washingtonians and people who do business with Washington, businesses. So like someone in, California that did a transaction with, for example, Expedia. That is an organization that is based in the state of Washington, just like Costco is, just like Amazon. So if someone has a complaint against Amazon, and they live in Florida, say, they can file a complaint with our office. So we do accept out-of-state complaints as well, as long as one of the parties is in Washington state. So, excuse me, we do consumer protection through strong enforcement, which means we will litigate against a company. And they don't necessarily even have to be in the state of Washington, as long as people that were harmed were in the state of Washington. So we will litigate nationwide, and then we also will litigate, obviously, in the state of Washington. And then we do provide this information through effective education, just like me going into your living rooms virtually to bring you this information. And we do that through creative problem solving as well, with our litigation staff, which includes investigators and attorneys. So just to give you a little bit of background as to some of the work that we do, we have what is called Consumer Services Unit, and that is with the Consumer Resource Center, which is a call center that we provide through the state. A 1-800 number that anyone can call if they have any consumer questions. And we take calls Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we take about 100 to 110 phone calls a day. On a normal day, you can imagine in the pandemic, we got way more phone calls. So I think our numbers might be a little skewed next year when we, provide more statistic information. But in 2019, we had 17,000 written complaints come to our office. And they come in the form of a paper complaint form, or they also come online. So you can definitely file a complaint online, and you don't have to mail anything in, or we don't have to mail anything out to you so that you can fill that out. So we do have the ease of the internet. We also had over 22,000 telephone inquiries last year, so 22,000 phone calls. And just through our informal complaint resolution process, we returned $11.8 million to consumers. That's not through litigation. That's not investigations. That's not us, suing someone in court. That's just us writing strongly worded letters to businesses, with a consumer complaint asking like, hey, what's going on here? Give us, can you give us a response as to what happened? And we were able to return almost $12 million to consumers last year. And hopefully that number is even better this next year. In 2018, 18,000 written complaints, almost 20,000 telephone calls, and then 8.8 savings to consumers. So just to give you a good definition as to what a scam is, I mean, we all have an idea, right, of what is a scam. Well, we're going to give you that definition. So what is a scam? It's any fraudulent business or scheme that takes money or goods from an unsuspecting person. You have no idea that you are being scammed. So as we become more connected with each other, especially right now via the internet, online scams have increased exponentially. So online scams are basically what is really happening right now. People's identities are being stolen through the internet. Just the way that we make ourselves more available, text messages, social media, emails. I myself, I don't know how many of you have more than one email address. I actually have 3 email addresses that I use. One of them is more for professional use. Like if it's like if I'm looking for a new job, basically where my resume comes, if I have employment security work, like unemployment benefits, that's where my email, I have a professional email. Then I have like a fun email where I get coupons and I sign up for listservs and things like that on my shopping habits. And then another one is actually related to my social media. So any social media, if I have a Twitter account, a Facebook account, an Instagram account, those are all related to that email address. So I kind of have everything divided up. I do have more than one, but having more than one of something does leave us more, there's more opportunity for a scammer to get to you. So I don't like to read directly from the slides, but this I do read directly just because what we are talking about today are examples of scams that utilize legitimate businesses. And so sometimes you may have a business and you think, oh my gosh, Elena's saying that my business is fraudulent. Not at all. It's that these scammers use businesses like someone that you may know or your own to act like they're legitimate so that people will fall for them. So the following are examples of scams that utilize very common or frequently used business products, models, or services in order to take advantage of consumers. It is important to note that these scams are based on actual services offered by legitimate businesses. Scammers count on that and make it difficult for consumers to distinguish between legitimate services and scams. So our goal today is to provide you with information to help you identify behaviors and practices that will assist you in recognizing the red flags to safeguard yourself against those fraudsters.
So could I just interrupt with just one comment?
Of course.
So I got an inquiry from my spouse this morning who received a email that looked like it came from Outlook saying, we need to reset your password and we need some information from you.
Right.
Clearly it wasn't from Outlook because Outlook would never do that, Outlook being a product of Microsoft. But it certainly looked like it was from Microsoft at first blush.
Yes, and that
That's
is
what you're talking about.
absolutely, yes, that is absolutely what we're talking about. Thank you for saying that. So now we'll go into the signs of a scam. So one or more of the following can be a sign of a scam. So basically, there are quite a few indications as to what a scam may be, but we've whittled it down to 5. So if all of a sudden you get a random text message, a call, an email, they're offering you a job opportunity, you won a prize, you owe money for a debt that you don't remember, this out of the blue context can sometimes turn threatening, or it may sound too good to be true. And that is one of the major signs that we think that this is a scam. It's unsolicited. All of a sudden you get some sort of contact, a text message, an email, a Facebook message, if you have a Facebook account, something in your direct messages that you were not expecting. And sometimes that unsolicited contact is claiming that there's an emergency, an urgent action must be taken. You must communicate now. You must verify this information in this moment because your account could be in jeopardy, or your account may be closed, or we may cancel your social security number. So don't let a threat of something of any kind, it might be someone in need, it might be a family member, a loved one, you might have something might be ending as a result of you not taking an action. You might lose this opportunity, whatever it may be. If they're doing that and you get a solicitation, again, unexpected, then those two together are really major signs of a scam, which is basically what you just mentioned now. Unconventional payments. So another way that we have kind of whittled down these 5 steps or these 5 signs is that they're a scam, is that if they're asking you, they claim to be from the IRS, they claim to be from Social Security, they claim to be from your local law enforcement or even jury duty, right? But you have not gone, you didn't do something, now you must pay. And so they ask you to pay in the form of a gift card. You do not and will not ever pay the government in a gift card anywhere. And a lot of times these guys are asking even for specific types of gift cards, like an iTunes gift card, a Visa gift card, go to Walmart and get a money dots, green dots back, Visa gift card. A legitimate organization will never ask you to pay in an unconventional method, like a gift card, wiring money. A government entity won't ask you to wire money. You look out for these signs. Unconventional payment methods are a sure sign that it is a scam. If they start requesting personal information, like Reed just said, can you verify your information? We're just going to need some things to verify that it's you. If they're reaching out to you, shouldn't they have that information already? That's always one of the questions, one of the comments I make. If it's somebody saying, well, we need to verify your social security number, can you give that to us? Well, why don't you tell me what you have, and then I can tell you whether or not that's legit. They're asking you specifically for personal information. Be really leery of that. And if there is a level of secrecy, don't tell anyone that this is happening, or don't tell anyone that I contacted you, or they're not going to understand if it's some sort of like an investment scam. Don't tell anyone until you see the results. Until they see the results is until they can get the money out of you. You have to be really careful. If anything is done in secrecy, then it's probably not a good thing. So scams that we see year-round, tech support scams, I'm sure you guys have heard of this. It's pretty well publicized by Microsoft, the Federal Trade Commission, AARP talks about VB, and our office. We have all done press releases on the tech support scam. And we actually sued a business in New York that was scamming people. You get a phone call, again, all of a sudden, unsolicited, your computer's running slow. Can you imagine right now where are online? Some of us are having major problems with connectivity, right? Because I guess the wires are so saturated with people working from home, connecting online. Even the libraries are offering, presentations online. Everyone is online. We're streaming our viewing platforms. I don't know how many of you have, have heard of Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Sling. All of these are platforms that are using the internet. So you may think, gosh, my internet is running really slow. My computer must be slow. Something's going on. So really look out for this, because we might see an uptick of this tech support scam again, because they know that people are utilizing the internet and there may be slow connectivity issues, especially depending on where you're located. So be really careful if you get, again, a phone call out of the blue telling you like your computer's running slow, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, it is. And so you start listening to these people. They offer to troubleshoot you, to help you through this. If you get a call like this, please report it. Please report it to our office, to the Federal Trade Commission, because it is not a legitimate organization that is offering this tech support, because how on earth will they know that you specifically are having internet issues or computer issues? They're banking on that happening right now. There's sweepstakes and lottery scams where you have won a prize and you don't remember entering the sweepstakes or this lottery. Please make sure that you ask questions. Call our office. If you do nothing else, give us a call. Find out if it is something legitimate. Family emergency. This is basically what has kind of morphed from the grandparent scam, where they call, senior citizens or people of a certain age claiming to be a family member, a grandchild, even a child, money. It's an emergency situation. Again, one of the 5 signs that we saw. Don't let emergency situations, don't let that secrecy, don't tell anyone, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whoever you may be, don't tell them that, I'm in trouble. Again, family emergency, urgent, need to do something, and secrecy. Advance fee fraud, where they ask you to pay for something in advance, just like sweepstakes or lotteries. If you've won a prize, you shouldn't have to pay for your prize in advance, no matter what they tell you. Don't worry if it's monetary. Uncle Sam will come back for his share once you've gotten your portion of it, and you'll pay taxes on that, definitely. But if they're asking for the taxes up front, then it's probably something that you should be very leery of. And then there's imposter fraud, where they pretend to be from the Social Security Department, from administration, from IRS, from your local Puget Sound Energy, light company. They're pretending to be someone. They are an imposter trying to get money from you. So these are the types of scams we see year round. Now, some of the scams that we're seeing right now during the pandemic, they're using COVID to steal money or your information, both if they can. So a pandemic is something that's really opportunistic for these scammers, because people are vulnerable and these guys will prey on it. So people are scared, people are looking for information, people are looking for help, people are looking just for some direction, trying to protect themselves and their families. So you might have someone who's looking for medical attention, medical equipment. They may be unemployed, looking for work. There's that extra level of desperation right now that causes someone to make an emotional decision that they may not have made in a everyday normal situation, right? Not during a pandemic. So again, we see government imposters, people claiming to be from the government, trying to get some information out of you. And so you can see that, we kind of say these are pandemic scams, but they're really, really the basis for our everyday scams that we see, that we call them everyday scams, because we basically see the premise, we know kind of what they look like, which is why we whittled it down to those 5 signs for the lay person, the common guy out there, woman trying to make sure that you don't get scammed. Look for these 5 signs. We've seen some information on fraudulent cures, medical equipment, that makes people vulnerable. Don't fall for that. We're concerned about fake cures, treatments for the virus. They can be extremely dangerous to your health, even fatal. So you should never, ever, ever expect a medical treatment from anyone else other than your doctor, pharmacist, or your local health department. I mentioned earlier Netflix and other media streaming platforms. So in quarantine resources, they're claiming that essential services like these streaming platforms, are offering an X amount of, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out a number like, 3 months for free, 90 days free or whatever. sign up here, and they give you a link. You click on the link, you put in your information, and you've just handed over that information to a scammer. Because these, again, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If it says that you can get a $250 gift card to go shopping at your local grocery, how many of us would say no to that? None of us would say no to that, right? But just because it's out there, just because it's being said that it's happening, doesn't mean that it's true. We've also seen fraudulent unemployment benefits. I myself, a victim of unemployment benefits. My identity was stolen, and someone attempted to get unemployment benefits in my name. And that was a mess that I had to clean up myself. We've also seen stimulus payment fraud. You know, we had the stimulus payment earlier this year. Some people, you know, a lot of people were able to get that. Some people were not. So we saw an attempt to either get that money or get information from people who may not have been eligible to get it, or, you know, wanted more information on how they could get it, and they're handing out their information. There may be something happening, you know, if there's a second stimulus payment before the end of the year, that, you know, might be unlikely, or, you know, the beginning of 2021, get in line for your next stimulus payment. Make sure that your information is up to date. Make sure you can get it. Put your info here. They will, like Reed said earlier, send you something to make themselves look so legitimate that you'll want to respond. But what you should stop and ask yourself is, should you respond? And the last thing that we're seeing in the pandemic is job opportunities. There are so many people that are unemployed and that are looking for a job, or are, you know, trying to get possible job retraining, other opportunities. If you have to pay to get that information, it is most likely a scam. Again, it's that advance fee fraud. Give us some money so that we can give you something in return. Go to your local employment security department. They will give you that information for free. So what are the effects in recovery of a scam? There's a loss of trust, security, depression, self-blame. You can even go as far as financial destitution. And then there's the potential for identity theft. So frauds and scams affect people emotionally, mentally. You know, there's anxiety, there's shame, there's, you know, you don't want to tell anybody about it. But I myself am here to tell you that I have been scammed, and there is no, you know, you shouldn't not blame yourself. Scams do not discriminate. They do go after anyone, because regardless of, you know, gender, orientation, color of your skin, because all of us have green money. And that's basically what they're going for, is our money and our financial information, like our social security number, like our credit history, because we are a little gold mine to them. And if they can get, you know, credit cards in their name, they've made money. And now we'll have to, in the end, clean it up, which is, again, the potential for identity theft. So how do you recover from that? Well, if you did talk to someone, stop all contact with the scammer. Don't make any more payments, because once they've gotten money out of you, they will try to continue to get money out of you. Don't blame yourself. Talk about it with other people and look for resources. It is something that you think to yourself, gosh, I don't want to tell anyone that I got scammed. But people will be like, wow, how did you get out of it? You know, they'll want to hear your recovery. They'll want to hear, you know, how, because I myself, again, have been a victim of identity theft, and I've actually been scammed twice. Once when I was much younger regarding a credit card, and if you ask me, I'll tell you about it later. And then the second time with the unemployment benefits. So just look for resources, talk to other people. You can bet that more people have been scammed than not, or have, you know, they were almost scammed. So just talk about it and get some information out there. So very briefly, what is identity theft? That's the deliberate use of someone else's identity that in order to gain a financial advantage, get credit or other benefits in someone else's name, with the intent of never paying it off. So what do they do with your information? Once they have it, they can get into your bank account, run up charges on your credit cards, open new utility accounts, which a lot of people have been telling us, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I had, you know, a Puget Sound Energy account in my name at this address. We've also seen medical identity theft, where they, you know, utilize your health insurance. They can even file a tax refund in your name and get a refund. And then we've also seen, not me myself personally, but I've heard cases nationwide of criminal identity theft where someone gets pulled over by the police and they give another name, another birth date, and then, that person ends up with a criminal record and they were, not even aware of it. So they'll do these things. These are signs of what identity theft looks like, the different types of identity theft: tax preparation, child identity theft, medical identity theft. How can they get your information? You've lost your wallet. They stole your wallet, your smartphone, your device. You dropped your phone somewhere. We've seen extreme cases of theft by family members, caregivers, people, advisors, and, even church pastors. I mean, we've seen where people just get into an opportunity to have access to someone's identity, someone's information, and they use it. One of the most popular ones back in the day was dumpster diving, before a lot of people would shred their documents. Your mail getting stolen, tax forms, the imposter scams where they pretend to be someone else and then they get information from you. And then some more unheard of cases, but not impossible. Info is bought from people that work at a bank, a hospital, a hotel, or they're a corrupt tax preparation service where they're taking that information, claiming to, help you with your taxes, but collecting information so that they can use it at a later date. It's kind of scary out there. What are some of the clues? So unexplainable withdrawals from your bank account. You stop getting your bills or statements that you were expecting. You're getting maybe credit card applications from suspect companies, telephone solicitations. All of a sudden, you're super popular with the credit card world. You have merchants that are refusing your checks because you may have had some bad checks written in your name that are not yours. You start getting debt collector calls regarding debts that you are not aware of. Or if you check your credit report, which I will tell you guys that from now until April 2021, you can check your credit report for free every single week from all 3 credit bureaus until April 2021, so that people during this pandemic are keeping up on their financial health, making sure that, there's not anything fishy. You may not even be applying for any type of credit right now. You can put a freeze on your report, and I'll tell you how you can do that in just a little bit. So you start getting medical bills for services that you did not get, a rejection of a legitimate medical claim. Your health plan won't cover because they say that you have an unknown condition. IRS notification that more than one tax return was filed, or you get a notice of your information being compromised in a data breach. So
I feel like we've all gotten that one, right? The
yes.
notice from somebody that our personal information may have been included in some sort of a raid on a business or organization that we've done business with.
Oh yeah, I've gotten 3 in the last 3 years. So what is it that they're looking for? Well, they're looking for your PII, your personally identifiable information. And what is PII? Well, there's a list right there. It's your social security number, your driver's license or your state ID number, your passport number, alien registration number, your financial account numbers. They want this information because it identifies you and it identifies your finances. And all of that information, if they have just 1 or 2 of these, it can be paired with any medical information that they may have, your date of birth, your account passwords, your last 4 digits of your social security number, your mother's maiden name, addresses are public. Sometimes even our phone numbers now are the numbers are out there, they're public. And if you are not on the do not call registry, I would get myself on there, your cell phone, because they do accept cell phone numbers, obviously. And even if you change your number, you should just be adding it every time. Don't think that it expires. And a lot of people say, that do not call registry doesn't work. It does work. It's just that the people who are calling you are not individuals who follow the law, obviously. And so they want the Federal Trade Commission, who runs the do not call registry, they want you to call them. And so if you are getting telemarketing calls and you are on the do not call registry, report those guys too. So what can you do to prevent your PII from getting stolen? Hang up the phone if you get a phone call all of a sudden. If you do end up talking to them, say no. My dad used to have a whistle when back in the day when everybody would call, our house phones. My dad had 4 daughters. There was a lot of boys that would call the house, and they sometimes would just, not say anything on the phone. So my dad took to putting a whistle by the phone. If something happens like that, you're starting to get a lot of phone calls that you need to answer for whatever reason. I myself do not answer numbers that I don't recognize. If you are not on my contact list, I will not answer your call. Leave me a voicemail. If it's something important, I will call you back. But say no, hang up, don't confirm who you are if it's not a number that you recognize. Do your research independently, ask for help, advice, report, tell people, call us, call the Federal Trade Commission. If you don't remember any of these, suggestions from me today, even if you just remember our phone number and give us a call and say, hey, is there anybody else that I should contact? We're going to give you that information. Share your story, continue about new ways to protect yourself, learning, talking to people about it. So protect your PII, protect that information, run credit reports throughout the year, ask how and why your Social Security number will be used, don't carry more info than you need, and always update your operating system and security software on all of your devices, your laptops, and that includes your cell phones as well. I know that I was guilty of that, not updating as often or as frequently as I should when those patches came through, because those are what is protecting your device from these potential scammers and hackers. So if you are going to get rid of a device, make sure that you wipe that before disposing, and we do have information on how you can do that. Use strong passwords, use different passwords for different accounts. Don't use the same one for every account. Don't open emails that you don't expect, don't know where they're coming from. Don't respond to an email that appears to be from your bank, the IRS, utilities, or Outlook, claiming that you need to verify information. Look up the real phone number and call. If someone claims to be from your bank, just say, hey, don't worry about it. I'll go into the branch. I'll make an appointment to talk to someone. Whatever, I don't need to give you the information over the phone. I'll contact them on my own. But thanks for letting me know, right? You don't have to give them the information. There's a saying, I'm bilingual, I speak Spanish. There's a saying in Spanish that basically translates to, a fish dies by his open mouth, right? So when you go fishing, the hook goes into the water, the fish opens his mouth and gets hooked. Well, that's basically when you open your mouth, you give someone that information, you might end up getting hooked. Stay away from shady websites, unfamiliar links, collect your mail every day, pay attention to your billing cycles, review those account statements monthly, make sure that there are no weird charges on there. I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually checking my bank account through an app on my phone every day, all the time, just to make sure that I still have the same amount of money in there, or that nothing weird has all of a sudden showed up in my account. Where one day I don't realize this, I go to the store and I have an overdraft fee because I don't have funds in my account. They've been gone for a week. I check my account every day, sometimes multiple times a day, just to make sure. And then shred your documents, obviously, to prevent dumpster diving, or burn them if you have a fireplace. Remove yourself from contact lists, opt out, contact your credit card companies to see, if there are steps that suggestions they may have to, kind of work through this, what you need to do. Understand website policies of websites that you are frequenting quite often. Know what their policy is on if you are putting private information in there, how they are protecting that. Make sure you look for that little padlock sign at the top of your address bar. And then if you are a victim, how do you recover? Well, if any of these items was lost, Social Security, online login, password, debit, credit card, bank account, driver's license, children's personal information, you need to get in touch with each organization. So if you did get a notice that your information might have been compromised in a data breach, then they are responsible for providing you a monitoring service. Take advantage of that monitoring service so that you are able to monitor your, and then of course yourself, make sure that you're monitoring that, because you're going to get it for free. So get your free credit reports from annualcreditreport.com and check for any accounts that you don't recognize. And then just remember that right now, until April 2021, you can check your credit report from all 3 credit bureaus at least once a week if you want. You can do it monthly, but I would do it once a week. What's the harm? Consider placing a free credit freeze. It makes it harder for someone to open a new account in your name. So if you do that, though, be ready to take some extra steps when you try to get credit if you're applying for something new. So call the company where the fraud occurred, place a fraud alert, get your credit report to the Federal Trade Commission, and number one, even though I put it at the bottom because I give more emphasis, file a police report. It is a crime. You must file a police report if you think that your identity has been stolen, because that police report is going to be proof to when you go and call that company where the fraud occurred to tell them that this is a fraudulent account. So close any open accounts, remove fraudulent accounts from your credit report, correct your credit report, and then add that extended fraud alert or credit freeze to stop these debt collectors. And then if you do have debt collectors who keep calling you and telling you that you owe them money, you can use your your police report, kind of respond to that. And then there's also an identity theft affidavit that you would get from the FTC to say that, like a written document stating that you have been a victim of identity theft. But don't worry, you'll get that information at the end. So other accounts that you may be a victim of ID theft: utilities, government benefits like unemployment benefits, student loans, and rentals. Sometimes someone claims to be someone and they try to rent a house in someone else's name. So we've seen that too. So know your rights. Again, file an FTC identity theft report, place a 1-year fraud alert or a 7-year fraud alert. Get free copies. Right now you can get them weekly. Dispute any inaccurate information and then stop a debt collector from contacting you. And you can do that through your police report and the identity theft report or affidavit. So here are those resources that I was talking about. There is Equifax, where you can go to that website directly and place a freeze on your account, or you can call them if you'd rather speak to them personally. I won't say that that's not an automated number, though. I don't know if you can get to someone, eventually. I'm sure you have to take some steps to their automated service, because they're probably getting millions of calls. But if we do recommend that if you do send certified mail, if you have to send personal information, send it certified. That way you know it's going where it's supposed to go and they're supposed to get it. There's the information for Experian and TransUnion, the same on how to put a freeze, how to contact them, give them a call if necessary, or write them a letter. You can also go to annualcreditreport.com. That is the only legitimate website that we recommend and other government agencies recommend, where you can contact all three at once to get your credit report. And that's annualcreditreport.com. There's the information for the Federal Trade Commission, how to file a complaint. And then they have a special identity theft .gov website where you would kind of put in your scenarios. If you think you might be an identity theft victim, you can kind of go through and say, here's what happened to me. They'll go through some steps, and then at the end, they'll give you a tailored plan as to what you should do depending on your situation. And then, of course, our office, the Washington Office of the Attorney General, we do have the section of where you can file a complaint. And then call our number, our 1-800-551-4636 for more information. Again, you can call us Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we have an array of people answering the phone calls every day, except for federal holidays.